licensed agent right here in Middle Tennessee area. Been an agent for over 7 years now, and just over the 200 homes sold mark. And I don't take that lightly. I really I take a customer service approach when it comes to helping my clients, and I really look at this business as I'm making friends, and I want to help people accomplish their goals when it comes to investments. So one of the things that I've been able to do is, really source not just the MLS, but uh, off-market properties, networking with other agents, wholesalers, various people in the area to find the very best deals possible for my clients. And I really like to help them put together a customized plan going off of events and the goals they've discussed already, and tailoring that experience to each investor, whether it's a brand new investor or someone that owns, multiple properties around the country. And this is my beautiful wife, Katie, and our three boys. We just had our third child in December, and that spurred the need for us to find a larger home. So you can see on the map there that the house icon over Pleasant View, and that's where we lived for the past 5 years. And this past March, we just moved into our new home just south of Clarksville, and we were able to turn our first home into our first rental property. And that's just been an amazing experience. In fact, I'm going to talk a little more about Pleasant View later in the presentation as one of the target markets for this area here around Nashville. All right, Logan.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Vince, appreciate it as well. So my name's Logan. I'm a realtor here in Middle Tennessee, specifically Nashville. Been focusing on most of my clients around the Nashville area. I've been in the area since college, actually around almost up to 12 years now. Went to MTSU, and they've just kind of developed a really large network. One of my favorite things is being a resource and leveraging that to all of my clients that I work with. I've also worked with a lot of local investors and became one this past year. Got it, two properties now. I have one in East Nashville and another one over near where I live in Donaldson. And we've converted one of those duplexes into an Airbnb as well. So it's been really awesome working with Marshall Reddick and working with a lot of investors. Lastly, too, I really enjoy coming up with creative solutions to some of these complex problems with different types of loan strategies or construction loans, rental loans, and specifically new construction. We've seen a lot of my clients benefit from new construction. So about me, I live right over here and near the airport. It's kind of right there. That's my beautiful wife. We just got married in January, celebrated 6 months a couple days ago. And that's our awesome house that we got that one day we'll rent out, probably do what Chris did. And then those are our two Australian Shepherds, Buddy and Moose. And love this city, don't plan on going anywhere. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about me. So this is kind of a snapshot of the market in general here in Nashville. A couple things to notice. These trends are really, you can kind of see it's gone up just every single year since 2011. And really the past 5 years, we've seen over or about 81% growth. And so this is just a snapshot of where we're headed. There's projected 1 million people by 2040 to be coming to Nashville and moving here and living here. So not slowing down. As you can see kind of up here, some of the data and some of the stats, the inventory is still really low. And days on market, we're seeing on average in June 6, which just means that the demand is still fairly high. Looking at this year. Maybe they're lasting 10 days. All that's really just showing is that there's still a lot of demand here. Supply and inventory is still really low. So a lot of investors and clients, everyone's kind of still having to move pretty quickly to get a property that they want, and usually having to compete, for the house that they want, potentially asking a little bit over. You can see kind of over 102% over the list price. So that's not to scare anyone. That's just the reality of where we are in Nashville and the demand. And obviously, you guys are here because you're looking to invest in there and learn about it. So all good things, and we don't see that slowing down anytime. Chris, did you want to add anything on this one?
Yeah, I'll have a couple of thoughts. So, you turn on the news and you would think the whole world's falling apart. And, it's here in Middle Tennessee, it's really not. And just by looking at these numbers, our inventory, like you said, it remains low. It's down 16% at the moment. And what hasn't changed is prices. We have yet to see a decline in our average sales prices here in the area. And actually, just looking at the data, we're going to need to more than double the inventory to even just return back to a stabilized normal market. So, I don't think that there is any signs of a crash happening here in the Nashville area. But I do think we're coming back to some normalcy in our market.
So one of the reasons why we're seeing this is because of economic and population growth. So these are just a couple of data points to look at and be aware of. We have all the millennials and median age right now, 34 in Nashville, over 2 million. And like I said, this is going to be up to 3 million here within the next 15 years or so, 20 years. And then the median income is $70,000. Another thing we're kind of noticing is the price point, and unemployment rate's 3.3%. The price point average is 495, almost $500,000, and that's keeps going up in Nashville. That's good if you can get a property and then immediately benefit from the appreciation. And then a lot of homeowners, 66%, but still room for a lot of renters and a lot of people who want to end up buying as well, and just investors that want to rent.
Definitely. I mean, that unemployment rate is, really great for the national average. I mean, we do have very low unemployment in our area. So that seems like a great balance of, primary homeowners to low unemployment. So it does make for a very great market.
So yeah, we basically once again seen it increase 19% over the last year. Last year was pretty wild, but in this area in Nashville, there's so many people that want to be here, as you guys are kind of seeing. We've actually seen rent increase by 25% over the past 3 years as well, and kind of where the economy's headed. That's very good for investors, because we know that we can continuously raise rents, and there's still going to be a very high demand. And then 48% of the total occupied housing units in Nashville are renter occupied. So still a very strong demand. Something to note as well, Nashville is about like anywhere from 2 or 3 to 6 hour radius to like 7 or 8 major cities and 10 to 15 minor cities. So if you just take, a sphere around all of Nashville with that radius, you're hitting a lot of areas. And the reason I'm mentioning that is just because it is a transient city, which means a lot of young professionals. You guys saw the median age. They like moving here. They like experiencing Nashville, which we'll explore with all the music and all the entertainment and all the growth. But we've also seen, and me personally, a lot of friends, a lot of people that just stay here for a couple of years, rent, and then move on out. So with that said, lots of people love visiting, and then they go down here for a bachelor party, and they end up staying here. They love it so much. So we're just continuously seeing, the reason to move downtown or the reason to move out and stay somewhere as it's expanding to be more affordable at that 495 price range is because these guys want to be here for a couple years and then maybe decide to move somewhere else.
Definitely. Yeah, these are just a few more stats here to kind of highlight Nashville seems to always be in the news. We were just ranked again number one in economic strength. That'll go into some of the jobs and companies that we'll talk about in just a bit. We're still the second hottest job market in the country. We're second for fastest selling homes. And Inman actually just ranked Nashville out of the top 10 major metros in the United States. We came in at number 6 as the most stable real estate market. So a lot of data backs up the fact that things are going to be really great here for a long time.
Once again, 4 simple points. People love Nashville. Low income tax, no personal income tax, a very low cost of living, and the per capita income in Nashville is 20% higher than the US average. On top of that, a range of fields with career opportunities. Nashville, if you throw a rock, it lands on a musician or someone in healthcare. And there's a lot of entrepreneurship and a lot of entertainers as well. And which just makes for a very vibrant and creative city. And then, like I mentioned, you could probably meet more people. Hardly anyone actually from here. You meet more people just by living in Nashville than you could touring the US, which once again causes the growth to continue because families start moving here, people start moving here, and they love it down here. So we're just seeing a lot continued growth, and these are some of the reasons why. Something else to note, I used to play bass, I still do, but I used to be in a band full time, and you could probably go to a different venue every single night for the entire year and not overlap on the same venue. That's how much entertainment we have.
Well, if you don't know the teams, these are the teams located right here in Nashville. Of course, we've got the Titans, had a pretty good season last year. Nashville Predators, made it to the Stanley playoffs several years. If you haven't seen our new soccer stadium, it's amazing. I haven't had a chance to make it out there yet, but we now have our own pro soccer team right here in Nashville. And then the Nashville Sounds, that's a minor league team. But they still have a really awesome stadium. It's a fun time to go out, see a Sounds game, baseball here in right outside of Nashville, downtown.
Yeah, Chris, something too about the soccer stadium is actually, I believe the largest in North America, over 30,000 seats. And that's been attracting a lot of people as well, just because, having a pro team helps, but having an amazing stadium, a lot of activities to do there. So a lot of cool stuff happening with the sports teams. These are some of the jobs and some of the companies that are moving here. One that I want to note is AllianceBernstein. You'd see a big company like that typically go to LA or Chicago, moving from New York, but they've moved to Nashville, and they've made that one of their headquarter areas. And you just kind of want to take note of that. If a huge company like that is going here, they know that something is up, and what they know is the stats and data we're telling you that this area is exploding. Some of the other ones, General Motors is just expanded several hundred acres in the Franklin area, kind of South Nashville, and yeah, HCA Healthcare once again expanding. So a lot of huge companies that are planning and paying attention to make sure that they're here and taking advantage of this, which is once again causing the economic to grow as well.
And you mentioned earlier, Logan, about music and healthcare, being able to meet somebody in those professions, but I feel like we're quickly becoming a technology hub as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we've got a huge company like Oracle bringing over 5,000 jobs directly into downtown Nashville. Other companies I think I've heard looking into the area. So yeah, it is a great diversified job market as well.
Totally.
And on top of that, great jobs, but we've also got great education universities here. A lot of people, I'm sure, have heard about Vanderbilt. Belmont is known as one of the top music schools in the country. A lot of these other, universities are within, very close distance to and around Nashville. So that's another big draw for people coming to the area.
Yeah, in fact, there's over 20 colleges in this area, 18 privates and one public university and one community college. So something to note here as well. So MTSU, that's where I went to college, is actually the biggest one in all of Tennessee, even bigger than UT Knoxville. And a lot of these students end up staying here and planning families and things like that. But they also make good for really good renters as well. So something to notice.
So this is a graphic that was just released this past week. I wish I could tell you exactly who published it, but it's been on almost every realtor's social media here recently, and it's a great representation that shows the massive growth that is coming directly into our downtown area. So you can kind of see there from those photos and renderings, the red buildings are literally, cranes are up right now. Those are in various stages of construction. All the green, as you can see, are proposed, and purple is also in the planning stages. The timeline on these is uncertain, but I would say, as Logan mentioned, that million plus population growth coming over the next 10, 15, 20 years. Um, this is where, we're going to see these buildings building out over that timeline.
Totally. And this is once again some of these bigger firms where they're going to post up with their offices. I believe a lot of the properties in that are under construction currently within the next 2 to 3 years, and all the other ones within the next 5 to 10. So lots of city growth, which is just going to cause an overflow to some of these areas and suburbs that we're focusing on today for once again for really good growth opportunities.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say, Logan, was yeah, this is raising the cost of that average price point to be into Nashville. So these areas that we'll mention in just a bit are key places that I would be looking as an investor.
So this is one of the locations that I specialize in. So once again, I told you I live actually right over here, and this is an area called Hermitage. It's just 20 minutes, 15 to 20 from downtown, depending on traffic. The reason I like it for investors is because of the location. First of all, you can get right on the highway for the most part, and take that road right down to downtown. It's close to the airport. It's right near both of these lakes and the Cumberland River as well, kind of right there in the middle. But it's also just far enough to where families want to live out here. There's a lot of parks, like we mentioned the Long Hunter State Park, 20 miles of hiking trails. So you can kind of still live within 20 minutes of Nashville and go on these awesome hiking trails. It's affordable price at 430, and lastly, it's just very safe. A lot of people are moving here with younger families each year, so we're getting a lot of renters that are more so family oriented. The schools are really nice. This is kind of just a total market overview of some of the statistics we kind of saw in the past, really just the past 6 months, how most of these house prices are within this $400,000 range. And once again, they're going pretty quickly. That stands for days on market. Average is 7, but you can still see inventory pretty low and the demand's pretty high. So something to notice there. love Hermitage. South Nashville, very good property or area to be thinking about investing in as well. So a couple things to notice here. These are two huge developments that are happening right now, and that are one of them is actually almost done. Tanger Outlets. This is basically over 32 acres, 70 plus retailers, and it's going to create a lot of job opportunities, as well as this whole area. Kind of, you can see on this next slide, that's what it's going to look like. So it's just going to create a bigger boom for the people that live in Murfreesboro and some of these other areas, which is like south of Nashville, kind of where Middle Tennessee and kind of where MTSU is. Something about that is there's over 160,000 cars per day on I-24. But what this is going to do is it's going to create more of a demand for people to live there, because we have this huge, awesome outlet. On top of that, Century Farms is actually basically this tire. There's going to be Tanger Outlets, a bunch of other healthcare companies, and Vanderbilt's supposed to be down there. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity and reasons for people to live down here. Here's kind of like a modern picture of what it looks like right now. And they're also going to have a strategic exit to that I-24 road, so that way it's less traffic. Something else lastly to notice is there's several new builds coming down there. A lot of communities and neighborhoods being built. I'm seeing this personally with a lot of builders that I have personal relationships with. We're seeing a 12% appreciation rate. I actually had a client that got a property here in January at 450, and a new build, and now it's we looked at the market and the comps, and it's over 500,000 right now. So we basically seen $50,000 within 6 months just for buying a new build in a hot growing area. So that's kind of the two areas I wanted to focus on today that I'm seeing a lot of growth in and a lot of opportunities investors are taking advantage of.
Definitely, man. It's yeah, everywhere you look, there's something being built, it feels like.
Totally.
So one of the areas that I specialize in is the northeast area, or northeast side of Nashville. And specifically, two key places I want to point out are Madison, which Madison's not exactly, it's not a city in and of itself. It is a more of a neighborhood than a city when it comes to locations, but it does have its own feel. It has its own market, sub-market there, and it is more affordable on average than closer into the downtown area of Nashville. And then also going northeast of Nashville, we'll talk more about Hendersonville. That is a fantastic city. And right there, you can see on the map, it's located right on the lakes. There's the two main peninsulas that really offer great boating experience, lake life, people that enjoy being out that way. And then it's also much more affordable. You can find larger homes for less money than, obviously living directly in Nashville. So as I said, Madison, it's just about 15 minutes, maybe even a little less, outside of downtown Nashville. There's a lot of older homes there that are being torn down, new construction being built up, also older homes that have been renovated, and just a good mix of properties that are great for investors. It's got several great local parks. There's also plenty of shopping, restaurants, retail. So you don't have to leave the area to, go out and get a dinner, but it does make a great rental market. And Hendersonville, it doesn't actually feel like you're anywhere near Nashville if you drive out that way. I mean, it really feels more like a countryside, but it's about 25 minutes outside of downtown Nashville. And as I said, it does provide that unique mixture of lake life and also countryside living. The population now there in Hendersonville is over 50,000. It also has everything that you would need as far as shopping goes. And at the same time, it still has a great small town feel. So those are two key areas that I definitely recommend looking at from an investment standpoint. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm a little partial since I live there and have a rental property in Pleasant View. But Pleasant View is really a hidden gem. It's about 30 minutes or so outside of downtown Nashville, depending on traffic. And it is a super desirable community that is just right off the interstate. So if you live in Pleasant View, you're just a 5 minute or less drive to get back onto the interstate. It is a very small town. Population there is probably only around 6,000 people, but it is the highest net worth county in Cheatham County. It also has a top rated schools for Cheatham County. And because it has low inventory, there's not, the city, if you look at the map there, the square footage of the town itself is not very large. So it's very restricted in how much can be built there. And that has just kept up the high demand. There's a lot of great local festivals. There's a Christmas lights contest they do every year. A lot of nice local small town restaurants, great park system. So the small town charm, as I said, for Pleasant View is definitely hard to beat. All right, Vince, pick it back up.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Chris. So a lot of the data and the kind of some of the metrics and demographics that were covered are all written down. We have what's called market data packets, and you'll see a link below at the bottom of your screen here, and it's www.marshallreddick.com/Nashville. So we have these data packets for all of the markets that we're operating in, and it covers a lot of the kind of basics that Chris and Logan were talking about. And it's really nice for those folks that like to be able to go back and look at some of this, these kind of points on paper. So this is really helpful for a lot of our potential investors. Next, I'm going to cover just really quickly here. This is an appreciation kind of trend for the Nashville area. You're going to notice that on all of our pro formas, which we have it's a little bit different of a layout that we're going to provide to you guys on our presentation tonight. But if you look at our website, you're going to see pro formas that are have quite a bit of detail broken down. One of those points that I wanted to kind of bring your attention to is that top left-hand corner, that chart there that kind of shows the appreciation trend, since 1989. So, we're over 30 years of appreciation that we're tracking. The blue line is the actual kind of trend line, whereas the gray is the average that we're projecting. And that's kind of what, you can see how it dips a little bit below, goes above, and it kind of follows that, depending on the year. But that is a good kind of graph that we like to use. Also on the right-hand side of your screen, since 1997, we're going to just show you kind of average the median home price and how the appreciation has gone up year over year, especially over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Nashville has seen some really great numbers. Also, one thing I wanted to point out, bottom left-hand side of your screen, you're going to see kind of that colorful heat chart there, right? And this is our property rating system. Now, we've written a really cool little ebook to help elaborate on this theory. But essentially, you'll see that we have the labels from luxury all the way to D-class properties. And you'll see the price points kind of associated with it. So from 454 and above is luxury, down to 349 is A. And to briefly go over it, the way that this starts is it all starts with the median home price. So the median home price for this particular area is that 100% mark. That 100% mark is 349.5. So anything from that 100% mark to 130% of that number, we would consider an A-class property. Anything above that is luxury. From that 100% mark to the 80% of that number is considered B-class, C-class, and D-class. And then down below that, those numbers are just adjusted per unit if we're looking at multifamily. So if you're looking at 2 units, 4 units, 10 units, whatever it is. So this is really helpful. You're going to see this designation on all of our properties on our website. Most of what you're going to see is probably A, B style properties, maybe some luxury. So yeah, that's just a little kind of background of what to expect. Now I'm going to kick it back off to Chris and Logan to go over some properties that they actually picked, and we're going to walk through those and yeah, go from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. So this next property is, it's working. Is out here in Nashville. This is in more of the South Nashville area. This is once again a Class A property. We're seeing about 3.9%, a little bit higher actually of appreciation. But something to notice here. So our monthly income, we're looking at 766. This is without our estimated 8% of some of these variable costs. So you're looking at closer to 240 if you want to be conservative and put 8% for some of those maintenance and vacancy. But expect somewhere within this range of cash flow. Something else I really like about this property. So a lot of properties in Nashville actually have a basement, and you're able to, some people are able to do like an in-law suite. So that's why I picked this one. There's actually another 5th bedroom down there that you could convert or use as an office. And so this is on our website if you guys want to check it out and look at some of the photos. It's been on market for 11 days. We'll probably go maybe even a little bit lower than the asking price, and we're expecting to see some of the rents. But one of the reasons why I like something like this is you can have an in-law suite and charge a little bit higher rent since there's a separate entrance and the door locks from the basement to the top. So that's a little bit about the South Nashville area. This one is actually out here in Hermitage, 5 minutes from me, and it's completely updated and renovated, turnkey ready. Similar concept. It has another basement as well and a back garage area that's on our website if you want to take a look. Class A as well, and 4 beds, 2 baths. We're seeing a really high area for this is once again families targeting, or if you wanted a separate in-law suite for the basement area as well. And we're expecting before our variables costs around 700 cash flow. These are with about 30% down payments, but this is a really good property. I'd love to hook this up with one of you guys and get it under contract pretty soon before it goes.
Those are great properties, Logan. Well, of course, I chose one in Pleasant View. And just to highlight a few things here, as Logan said, that one property had been on the market about 11 days. And what I mentioned earlier is, our market is not crashing, but it is starting to return to, a normal market. And with that, prior to this year, most of my investors were having to, offer above the asking price. They were having to, make other cuts in, what they were able to negotiate. And what we're starting to see now is it's actually, we're seeing more homes sitting on the market a little longer because interest rates have gone up and there's fewer primary buyers who are now looking. And so that's given some of my investors recently an upper hand. We've been able to get some rate buy down covered from the sellers. In one instance, I've been able to get some help with closing costs. We're not having to do as is inspections necessarily. So I really believe that it is becoming more investment friendly time right now than I've seen these past couple of years. But this is a great example property here in Pleasant View. It's been on the market a couple of weeks, and it's priced right now at $4,099. It's a pretty new property. It was built in 2018, And I really believe that we could probably negotiate even further on that price right now, or like I said, maybe get you some closing costs covered or potential rate buy down, because the home has been on the market for a couple weeks. But as is, if you purchased at the 409 price, rental comps are showing around 2,400 for this type of home in Pleasant View. And month over month, you should be getting around $384 in cash flow. Now, because this is a newer property, you're going to have less maintenance costs. And I can tell you from personal experience, there are more people wanting to rent in Pleasant View than there are available properties. So I know you would not have an 8% vacancy rate. So, that's a really hot market, and properties do rent out really fast there in Pleasant View. And for my other property that I wanted to talk about tonight, it's one out in Hendersonville. It's located out on one of those two peninsulas that I mentioned earlier when we were looking at the map. And it also has a basement, kind of like Logan mentioned. A lot of the older homes in our area tend to have basements. Some of the reason is that, we have a lot of rolling hills in our landscape. And so it's just easier to build that way, in order to construct the property. So this one is a 4-bed, 3-bath. It was built in 1968, but it is fully renovated. As Logan mentioned, you can go over to our website on Marshall Reddick, check out the investment properties that we have on our site, and see the other photos of this home. And, love to help someone out if this looks like a great property for them. But right now, it's currently listed at $425,786. It also has been on the market for several days, and the rental comps in that area were showing around 2,500. So with that, what we project here for rental comps are purely based on the data that we can find. But what I've seen personally in a lot of properties that I've sold recently is we want to put them up for rent for more than that. And we've oftentimes been very surprised in how we were able to get more than even that we estimated the property to rent for. But as is at the 425, 786 price, your month over month on average cash flow would be around $357. So those are the two properties that I put together. Vince, you want to go over our property management in a little bit more detail?
Absolutely. Thanks for covering that. So, as I mentioned earlier, one of our major services is going to be property management, and I kind of briefly covered what we would do on behalf of property management, but this is a quick kind of breakdown of the fee structure. So there's basically two fees associated with property management. There's a monthly management fee, which is common, right? That is something that we charge on an ongoing basis, and it's a percentage of the gross monthly rent. You're going to see at the very bottom of the screen, it goes from single families to 30 plus units, and the rate changes based on the unit mix, right? So for the single families, it's 8% for that 2 to 4 range, which is common, as well as that 7% monthly rent. Now, in addition to that, we do have leasing fees. So that's actually just a one-time fee per tenant. So, and what I mean per tenant is just basically per, anytime we have to move someone in or out, you have to pay that fee. So it's 50% of the first month's rent. And that is to procure that tenant. That's to run background checks, do the showings, place that tenant. If that tenant just renews next year, it's $150. So very minimal in terms of fees. We try to make it as simple as possible, because ultimately, our goal is not to nickel and dime folks with fees. It's to just earn your business, do a good job, and hopefully be able to help you with future acquisitions, right? So that's a little bit about the breakdown. And again, I know we're kind of quickly going through some of these items, but if there are questions, I will be doing follow-up calls after this presentation, to whether it's questions for me, questions for Chris or Logan. we'll be able to get those answered for you. So don't worry if there are questions. We'll be doing some follow-up in regards to that. As far as kind of next steps, so basically, as I mentioned, I will be reaching out to everybody, and our consultation calls can go as long or as short as you want, right? So my goal is to cover the who, what, when, where, and why. I want to learn a little bit more about maybe what brought you to this presentation, why you may be looking at investment properties, how do you plan on purchasing, right? There's multiple ways, right? Whether we're buying cash, loan, 1031 exchange. Again, why you would be doing this? Is it for cash flow? Is it for appreciation? When you might be wanting to buy? What kind of property? Is it single family? Is it a multifamily? We covered a lot of Tennessee, but in the event maybe there was another market you want to explore, we can talk about that as well. And then obviously introducing you to all the key players along the way, starting with myself to, our agents like Chris and Logan, to our preferred lenders and property management team and so on. So that's something that you can expect from us, and, all aspects Marshall Reddick, I can help answer those questions for you. So here's my contact information. If anybody's interested, if you wanted to reach out to me to set up one of those calls, if you wanted to get in touch with me and I can help put you in touch with Chris or Logan, I'm more than happy to do that as well. So however you guys want to do it, I just, I can't thank, Chris and Logan enough for taking the time to join us this evening. It's so helpful to have some experienced local agents like yourself give us a rundown and kind of go over the market and those properties. That was so well done. So we appreciate your time, and I want to thank everybody for joining the webinar this evening. That is all I have for us this evening.
Thank you, Vince. And yes, thanks everyone that's attending now and that's watching later. We would love to be a resource for you here in the Nashville area.
Yeah, thanks again, y'all. Thanks, Vince. Crushed it, and looking forward to being a resource and helping you guys out. Talk soon.
Thanks, guys.